Hello, everyone. Thank you for this great question. So the question goes, how are Canadian businesses reacting to COVID-19 supply chain disruptions? Many business leaders and policymakers have already started to think about how to deal with the aftermath of the pandemic. This means finding the right strategies to rebuild their economies and improve supply chain resiliency or robustness to future shocks. The Global Commerce Center conducted a survey to shed light on the impact of COVID-19 on Canadian organizations' decisions on their future operations. Based on the survey, many organizations are already reevaluating their supply chains and choice of suppliers. In fact, many organizations said they had shifted their supply chains more towards domestic suppliers during the pandemic. An even greater share of survey respondents said that they are planning to source more inputs from local suppliers after the pandemic is over. And for large and medium-sized organizations, the share is even greater at about 50%. In terms of disruptions, COVID-19 caused the most problems when sourcing inputs from China and overseas suppliers. But many Canadian organizations also had trouble sourcing inputs from the United States and Canada itself. Nearly 3/4 of surveyed organizations sourcing Canadian inputs experienced domestic supply chain disruptions due to COVID-19. And 38% said that the pandemic had a high or medium impact on their capacity to source inputs within Canada. So this suggests that sourcing more inputs domestically is not a panacea to mitigating supply chain shocks. So Canadian businesses should evaluate their choices carefully. Other strategies that Canadian firms can adopt include diversifying suppliers and avoiding too much dependence on one country or region, even one's own. Also, businesses can adopt digital technologies to help react quickly to supply chain disruptions. And they can also work on strengthening their relationships with selected suppliers to build long-term trust. So adjusting or diversifying supply chains to ensure reliable access to key inputs or for national security reasons is valid and recommended. But if business leaders decide to reshore or shorten their supply chains, they should do so wisely, by weighing the implications on supply chains' resiliency, robustness, and efficiency. Canada is a trade-dependent economy, and as the global economy slowly reopens from the COVID-19 crisis, our industries will need to remain globally competitive to support the economic recovery.